went to college, started volunteering at a high school for a couple years. And then when I was 21, and I was like, man, I've got to get into college somehow, some way. And I obviously didn't play college basketball, didn't know anyone in the profession. And so a lot of people told me like, man, there's no way you can ever be a college coach. And so I went around and started working a lot of camps and clinics, and so was trying to be a student manager at the University of Texas. So I was working their camps, and I met a guy that knew the head coach at St. Edward's University, a Division II in Austin, Texas. And so he's like, man, I think they have a volunteer spot open. Like, you should contact him and see if you could get it. So, man, poor guy, I probably called him 50 times, like his office phone. And just like me now, I'm guilty. I never answer my office phone, right? I'm like, hey, if you don't have my cell number, we probably don't need to be talking. So, I'm blowing him up. Well, finally, I keep calling, and I get him one day. And he's like, I do have a volunteer spot open. He's like, man, can you come drop off your resume? And well, this is over the summer, and I'm in Dallas, which is about 3.5 hours away from Austin. And so I hop in the car and go drop off my resume. And he's like, man, I didn't know you were in Dallas. Like, you didn't have to do that. So we talk, and he's like, I'm definitely interested, but man, like, a lot of my players are, older than you are. And he's like, so I'll call you back in a week and kind of let you know what I decide. So, a week goes by, I don't hear anything. So, man, I continue to just basically stalk this guy. And finally, so I'm like, man, I get a hold of him, and I'm like, Coach, I really want to be your, volunteer this year. What do I have to do? He's like, man, I think you'd be great. He was like, but look, I got to get someone that's older, that's more experienced. Like, he was like, man, I hope you don't take offense to that. So I'm like, okay, and I'm a little bit, stubborn, as I think most of you guys out there probably are. So I'm like, all right, what can I do? So I go to Dillard's department store there in Texas, and I go ask this manager. I'm like, hey, can I buy a mannequin hand from you? And they're looking at me like I have 8 heads, like, I'm a serial killer or something. And they go talk to their manager. Their manager comes out and is like, yeah, it's $170 cash though. So, I'm a poor college student. So I go to the ATM and take out the money and buy it. And so I put the mannequin hand in a FedEx box and send it to Coach Jones at St. Edward's. And I'm like, hey, Coach, I would give my right hand to be your assistant. And by the way, this one cost $170. And so he gets it the next morning. He's like, man, you're not going to leave me alone unless I hire you, right? And I was like, no, probably not. He's like, all right, man, you like drive down there now and you got the job. So that's kind of long-winded version of how I got into college coaching. And so, we were fortunate at St. Edward's. I signed a couple of really good players and got to move up pretty quick, and went to Texas State as the director of basketball operations when I was 23. And man, worked for a guy, Dennis Nutt, that played in the NBA. Like, great dude. Got let go after our first year there, and that was kind of my introduction into college coaching. And so, from there, I went to Fresno Pacific. Coach Russ, man, I know you guys, when I was at Fresno, I think you guys won a national championship at Vanguard. You guys, I think, won the GSAC probably every year I was there, man. But I was at Fresno Pacific for 8 years, 4 as an assistant coach. And then I got promoted after my mentor, Jim Saya, left and went to Cal State San Marcos. And so, from there, it's kind of definitely been a winding road. I've been an assistant at a couple of really good Division II spots in Arkansas Tech and Angelo State, and a head coach for 1 year at Graceland University, and then at Central Baptist before I came here to Talladega College in Alabama. And so it's by far the best job I've had as a head coach. And, I'm very fortunate to work for a great administration that, that really gets it. I mean, it's it's definitely a top 10 NAIA program, and, God's definitely, taking great care of me for sure.
That's great, Coach. Thank you. Coach Phillips, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'd love to. First of all, again, thank you for having me. I'm Tiffany Phillips. I am the head women's basketball coach at Southwestern Assemblies of God University. It's in Waxahachie, Texas. So just a little bit south of Dallas. I'm not from Texas. I'm from Arkansas, actually. But I've been in Texas for 6 years, so I guess I got knighted in somehow along the way. But I played at a small school in Arkansas called Greenland High School, where we won 3 state championships my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And then I went on. I actually played 1 year at Arkansas Tech for Joe Foley, who is at Arkansas now. And then I played my last 3 years at Harding University. When he left, I left, and I went to Harding and finished there. So I had a pretty good college career. My senior year, I broke my finger against Delta State University, and was just talking to their head coach. Her name is Sandra Rushing. She's actually at Central Arkansas now. And she said, "Hey, I got a GA spot open next year." And I said, "Okay, I'd be interested." So I went and talked to her. And I was a GA for her for 2 years at Delta State in Cleveland, Mississippi, NCAA D2. And then I got the job at Central Arkansas, where I worked for Chicola Sills. You guys heard of Scottie Pippen? He played there. So I got the job there, and I worked there for 5 years under 2 different head coaches, kind of like Coach Wright was saying. After my first year, the head coach got fired. She got let go, and then they brought in a guy named Matt Daniel, who's at Arkansas State now, actually. And he kept me on as assistant. I kind of, I had to pray a lot about that one. Didn't send right hand to him or anything like that, but I definitely, there still. I liked Central Arkansas. I liked that level. I enjoyed the recruiting aspect of it. So I spent 5 years there, and then for 5 years I coached in Arkansas in high school basketball. So I did 5 years there in Arkansas, and then I got this job, and I've been here for 6 years. I love SAGU. I think it's a great place. It's got the Christian aspect to it, which is big for me. Faith is really important to me. It's got that aspect to it. So I think it's just been the administration is amazing here. I work for a really, really great athletic director, and I'm not just saying that he's not on this call. He really is a great AD, awesome to work for. Some of us are players, coaches, and he's a coach's AD. He really fights for us. I really, really like him. And we're just trying to get on that level where we can get like Vanguard winning championships every year. We're just trying to get to that level, so we're working on it. But I love SAGU. It's a great place, great people, and some of the people I've met are on this call and just to support me. I appreciate that. So.
Great, Coach. Thank you. Coach Pearson, do you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you. Thank y'all for having me. Excited, honored, humbled by the opportunity, humbled to be on a panel with such prestigious coaches, and Coach Phillips, Coach Wright, and the epitome of an NAIA coach and Coach Davis at Vanguard. Just a decorated coaches. So just honored by the opportunity. Just a little bit about myself. So I'm a little bit on a different side of the spectrum, than Coach Davis, for instance. So I'm just getting started really at the NAIA level. Head women's basketball coach at Missouri Baptist University. And heading into my 3rd year as a head coach. I was previously an assistant at Missouri Baptist for 3 years prior to accepting the head coach position. But excited about the future for myself and for the program. And I think that knowledge and learning is endless. So just trying to learn the game, expand the game as best as possible. A little bit about myself. So I am actually from St. Louis, Missouri, and Missouri Baptist, if y'all are unfamiliar, is here in St. Louis. So very familiar with the surroundings from St. Louis. Straight out of high school, I played at University of Tennessee Martin, and I bounced around several times. So I went to Tennessee Martin, then I went to Moberly Area Community College. From there, I played at Southeast Missouri State under Dickie Nutt, who was actually, Chris Wright said that he played under Dennis Nutt. They were brothers. That Nutt family, those roots run deep. So I played under Dickie Nutt at Southeast Missouri State. And then my senior year, actually, my girlfriend at the time, my wife currently got pregnant with my son. So I moved back home, and I finished up at Missouri Baptist, in which I got my bachelor's, my master's from Missouri Baptist. now pursuing a doctorate degree at MoBapt as well. So very honored, very humbled, by the opportunity here to speak this evening with you all, expand the game as best as possible. But I'm still fairly young in my coaching career. Like I said, heading into my third year as the head women's basketball coach. So excited to learn here this evening. Excited to expand the game here with Coach Phillips, Coach Wright, Coach Davis. And I want to just give a quick shout out to to Ashton Pills, who is former player of mine here at MoBapt. And I actually was set to play under her father as well prior to him accepting the University of Missouri St. Louis job. So I'm really very connected with their family. I think that Ashton Pills is one heck of a basketball mind, whether it's as a coach or as just a player personnel. I think that she's one of the best young basketball minds here that we have, so I just wanted to shout her out prior to getting started. And again, just honored, excited, and let's talk basketball here this evening.
Thanks, Coach. Really appreciate it. Coach Davis, do you want to go ahead? I don't know what happened to Coach Davis. Coach Davis, do you want to go ahead?
Can you see me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I must be in a hot area here. I'm in a hot area for this virus, but I mean, it's a hot area for this. So thanks for having me on. Let me move this so I can see my ugly mug here. Okay, now I'm good. But this is going to be fun. I'm excited to talk NAIA basketball with these coaches. And I know these coaches. I try to follow everybody somehow or some way. That's important to me. And so I've been really fortunate and blessed in my life. Started coaching right out of high school. I coached boys basketball first. I was a freshman, sophomore boys coach. And then the women's coach at the school I was coaching at, Woodbridge High School in Irvine, California, he wanted to take a sabbatical. So I took over there and then never went back. I enjoyed it. I saw the improvement daily. When you coach guys, a lot of those guys think they're going right to the NBA. So in girls, you can see improvement daily and stuff like that. So it was really good. I enjoyed it. So I stayed there for a year and we got lucky and we're pretty successful. So the guy came back and another job opened up. They called me and I took that one. I was there 5 years. And then the fun fact, I've never been through a job interview. So I've interviewed a lot of people, but I've never had a job interview because somebody always asks me. So, it's kind of weird. I'm 58 years old and I dodged all those job interviews. Probably a good thing. I probably wouldn't been hired. So anyway, I'm currently at Vanguard University. I'm coming up on my 25th year total. I was there for a year, assistant 1 year, then took over. I got into coaching because I was fortunate enough to play high school basketball with a guy by the name of Greg Wooden, and retired from coaching UCLA, John Wooden. So he would roll into our gym sometimes to see his grandkid, and then I kind of got to know Coach a little bit, and every time I talk about that, I get goosebumps. So I kind of wanted to get into coaching for that reason, and my old high school coach played for Coach Wooden, so he came to watch practice for one of his former players, and for watch his grandson after he was retired. So I got to pick his brain and got to go to his house a couple of times up there in his little cottage and sit down and listen to him. of was I to be able to be a young coach, be able to listen to what Coach Wooden had to say. So, I mean, looking back, I mean, that's, it's pretty awesome. So, and then I took a lot of things he did, and would work for him, and then what worked for me, went to a bunch of camps and clinics and did all that kind of stuff. So like most of us do. When they asked me to coach at Vanguard, when I got the job there first, they didn't have any full-time coaches. That was back in 1996, 97 was my first year. My coaching stipend was $4,000. To make a little bit extra, they had me be a janitor. I mean, that's what you did back then. You didn't get right into these jobs. You had to sweep the floors and do all that kind of stuff. So I'm showing my age a little bit. That's why I cut my hair, so I look a little younger. But so I was doing all that kind of stuff. And then Bob Wilson was our AD. He hired me. He's a Hall of Fame coach in the NAIA. When I was lucky enough to be put in the Hall of Fame for the NAIA, he was there, and he was the one that put me in there. So that was an honor for me to have Coach be there for me. That, and he was a Hall of Fame coach and athletic director. So he was another one of my mentors. So I've been blessed. I think having mentors, and then if you have the ability to mentor people, that's huge. So that's kind of how I got there. This last year has been tough for me. Some of you may know, some of you may not, but I've been last April, about this time, I found out that I had cancer. So I had to get that, I had to attack that. And as some of you know too, I was fortunate enough to have a relationship with Kobe. And so Kobe practiced in our gym, and their mama team was actually going to be with us this summer with my club team. I coach club too. I've been coaching this club team. So I've been with Nike for 20 years, coaching the Cal Switch Nike club team. So I've had a lot of hats, but he helped me get through it. And so that was kind of a fun thing. So my third mentor would be Kobe Bryant. So I had some pretty good mentors to help. I found out in November that I had radiation and chemo, and those that worked. So I was, praise the Lord, like cancer free. So now I'm just dealing with my throat. So if you see me grab a cup, it's not because I'm chewing tobacco. I still have some stuff that I'm dealing with. My throat doesn't work still. So I have a feeding tube that I have to use to feed put my water in. Nothing goes down my throat. So it's been a battle, but it's okay. There's a lot of people out in the world that are worse off than me, and I chose to be positive and know that the Lord's going to protect me and be there for me always. So, so interesting story. That's kind of where I'm at, and I want to grow the game. I want to give back, and I want to help as many people as I possibly can reach their dreams. Not just my players, but coaches. So I try to do that the best I can through whatever network, however I can do it. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, and a lot of my jokes are not good, but some of them are. So
Thanks, Coach. Really appreciate you being here and taking time to be with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. First question is for everyone. Just let me see. Okay. How have you been creative with your operating and scholarship budgets? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, like for me, I think a lot of it depends on kind of like the the niche of where you are. I've been fortunate to be at a lot of different institutions, and so I think like every place I've been, it's been a little bit different as far as like what the parameters are, like what can you do at the school you're at. And so I know that, obviously a big deal in small college, number one, is scholarships, because ultimately that affects, the caliber of players that you have. And so, you know, obviously utilizing your scholarship dollars outside of your institution, I think is, for me has always been really big. Like I know when I was at Fresno Pacific, we would try to get as many Cal Grant kids, as possible. Obviously utilizing, their financial aid is big, and even for us here at Talladega, we're fully funded, but getting as many Pell Grant kids as we can, obviously helps us, get as deep and as talented of a roster that we can possibly get.
Yeah, and I'll kind of just piggyback on that. I'm not sure if can you hear me? Can you hear me, Coach? Yeah, I'll kind of just piggyback on that. Specifically at Missouri Baptist. Now we're not fully funded, but to get those student athletes that are exceptions academically on the court is huge for us. Those 3 5s and above, 3 2s or half exemptions. Those are major for us in order to offer those decent scholarships for them. But I mean. It's tough and it's a lot of give or take. I think that a lot of NAIA coaches can speak on this, that we lose most of our recruits to junior colleges, or at least I know I do, because junior colleges are a third of the cost of Missouri Baptist. And then those Pell Grant or Pell eligible student athletes are able to pocket that Pell, so they're getting they're getting $6,000 into their pocket while they're getting all of their school paid for. I can't really compete with that, but to get those individuals who are high academic kids helps us a great deal. Being a half exemption or even a full exemption, it helps our scholarships a great deal, but it's challenging. It's challenging given those circumstances, but, I'm a firm believer in you gotta pay good players what they're worth, or you're not going to get them, so being able to bite that bullet, being able to prioritize those scholarships, and also you don't want to overpay for a role player, those that are going to be 6 through 9 on your roster. You don't want to overpay for those, because then you're 1 through 5, you're kind of limiting your funds, or at least in our case at Missouri Baptist.
Yeah, I think with that, like similar, we want to utilize the academic side of things too. And we try to find those kids that are high academic that can give you a little bit of academic money. SAGU does a really, really great job of need-based scholarships as well. And so that helps us. Plus, being an Assemblies of God school, if the kid or the student is an Assemblies of God young lady, then they get a discount there too. So you kind of got to look for those. And then fit becomes so important. Just can't recruit someone that doesn't fit. And then I think it gets more interesting now. We are fully funded, and now with it going to one division, we actually have less scholarship money.
Yeah.
So you really can't miss. You really cannot miss on a kid. And I think what Coach P is saying up there, you got to find 1 through 8 that are going to really, really help you, or 1 through 5 that are really help you, and give a lot of your money to them. And then be creative with the money for 6 through 9. And then as far as like operational budget, we have to do some things that I don't really like to do, like limit our travel roster. And I don't like to not take kids, but sometimes we just have to do that because we don't have the finances to do that. We do everything that we can. We work, we work concession stands at our football games. We work concession stands over at Baylor just to try to make a little extra money. So we don't have to do that a lot, but sometimes you have to do it. And the business side of it is for me. And the budget side of it is the hardest part for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And can you get okay? Here I am again. All right. Well, ours is tricky because I think people assume sometimes that we have a huge budget because of some of the things that we were fortunate enough to accomplish. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of NAIA schools that have the full amount of scholarships. Like I don't even know what it is, because I think it's like maybe 11.
Going to
But
8.
Yeah, it's cut down
yeah,
to 8.
now it's 8 now, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But so we don't have that as a conference thing. Nobody in our conference does.
All right, next question.
Ashton, give me the thumbs up if you hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you. Yes. All right. A question from Coach Yang. For anyone can answer. Do your schools have a JV program? And if so, are you going to keep them during the merger?
You know, for here at Talladega, we do have a JV program, and you know the expectations, to be honest with you, are pretty light. When I was at Central Baptist, we had 61 JV guys to be able to, you know, kind of get to the scholarship level that we thought we could really compete at, and that was a headache. Which is, to be quite honest, is, you know, a reason why I'm at Talladega today. But you know, we have 20 JV players, and you know, to me, like, I've really learned how to use that as a plus for our program. So, you know, one, we have lots of tryout camps here on campus, you know, that we charge prospective student athletes to come in and, you know, basically try out for us for, you know, a 3-4 hour time block that, you know, we're able to really use that to our recruiting budget to fly in kind of our you know, our impact guys, our top level players. And so it's been really, really good for us. You know, plus I think it's great for a lot of the JV guys that we have. You know, they're involved in college athletics, and, you know, if they do their job, they have a chance to kind of move up in our program. So I know for us, you know, we'll kind of keep that model as even as we combine to one division.
Does anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I will. We haven't had JV until this year. We're starting JV during this merger, just to, I guess, just create a little bit more roster quota, a little bit more money coming in, because these are scholarships. We don't scholarship our JV players, and it's, you know, 8 more players that are coming, and it's revenue for our school. And I think that's just a way for just for SAGU to make a little bit more money. It puts a little bit more work on us, obviously. But I do think it does help generate that revenue. I was able to hire a JV coach. I think he makes a little bit more than Coach Davis did his first year as a coach, and just a little bit more. So I think that's exciting to be able to start that. And I'm excited to see kind of where it goes. I know that it'll be a challenge, but I do think it helps. I think it helps our program, because then you have players that maybe didn't get to play. Now they can play on a JV team, and it creates a little bit better morale too, because you don't have so many unhappy young ladies running around, because you don't want a lot of unhappy young ladies running around, trust me.
I would like to, I apologize for my horrible service, but I want to finish the last. Maybe if I talk, maybe you guys are trying to get me off of this thing. It's okay. But we play exhibition games. We're lucky enough to play. I have some friends out there that are at places that can give us good money. We play UConn every 3 or 4 years, and that's a big pay. We play Stanford every other year, UCLA, Cal. We get killed. I mean, it's not even close. But we're like that college football team that goes like this, you know, sacrificial lambs, that goes out there and gets beat, but they got money in their pockets. So Yeah, and Gino always tells me, "Oh, we're taking it easy on you." Yeah, then the game starts and that's over. But so we play those exhibition games, and that's really helped us over the years. We have to fundraise about half the rating budget to have a regular season, so that really helps us. And we don't have a JV team, so I got through without cutting out. I'm excited. We're moving in the right places.
Yeah, coach, I can absolutely relate to that, man. We put on our schedule at least 4 exhibition games, and to which we're playing Division 1s, Division 2s for those money games. It's necessary in fundraising to get apparel, to get gear, to cover travel expenses. I think that if you're going to be the part, you got to look the part to play the part. So you want to look good on the court. So those money games are necessary against those high level Division 1s. But specifically at Missouri Baptist, we have a JV team as well. Our quota specifically is 45 individuals between our varsity team, JV team, team managers, et cetera. So like Coach Phillips was saying, it's a good way to generate enrollment. It's a good way to kind of push revenue. But it's tough in managing it. We have our coaching staff consists of a head coach and 3 graduate assistants. So it's really tough for those graduate assistants to coach individuals or coach students athletes who are the same age as them. They're 1 year out of college, and now they have to coach and lead these young student athletes who kind of don't respect them in a sense. So it's a tough part. It's a lot of give or take. And in all honesty, I might be jumping ahead, but our recruiting, we're unable to recruit 21s, for instance, or years to come, because we're so focused on those junior varsity numbers. We're so focused on those reserve numbers, and for us to our cost of tuition being so high, it's tough to get those junior varsity numbers in and have them take out a great deal of student loan debt. So it's tough. But again, when it's all said and done, it pushes enrollment. It generates revenue. I think that it's necessary to push that revenue to offer those high dollar scholarships to your more premium players. And it's not 61, quota like Coach Wright said, but 45 has been quite a task for us here these last couple of years.
Woo.
All right, so next question. This is directly for you, Coach Pearson. How do you handle your red shirts and walk-ons? Like, how do you balance them with the team that you recruit and put together?
Yeah. So kind of like what Coach Phillips said, in the event that we have a player who's redshirting, due to injury, or for developmental reasons, she comes in rather thin in her stature. We're trying to put on weight, develop her skill set. That player will not travel with us. We want to cut down our travel expenses, in any way we can. And those red shirts, those walk-ons, we have very few walk-ons, in all honesty. And the walk-ons that we get are more reserved, more junior varsity players, and we like to call them. So we split up our teams: blue team, which is varsity team; white team, which is our junior varsity team. I think that calling them JV team kind of discredits them a bit. I like to say that we have 30, 35 players who can all play. So we're going to call them blue and we're going to call them white team. But we traditionally in the past, we've designated those walk-ons to that white team or to that junior varsity team, and then our varsity players that we have that are red shirting, we just kind of take them off of the travel roster to cut costs any way we can.
Great answer. This question is for Coach Phillips. How was the transition from high school to the NAIA level?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. In high school, I feel like there's a lot of teaching involved. There's a lot of, you don't get to recruit your players. You can recruit the hallways a little bit, but you don't really get to go out and recruit your players, not legally anyway. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but you have what you have there. And yeah, I think it's important to work with those players to teach them that game. So there's a lot of teaching involved, I think, at the high school level. Not that there's not, at our level, there's still some teaching involved, but once they get there, I think they know a little bit more, obviously. I mean, you recruited for a reason, you saw talent in them. So it was, I had gone to college, and then I had gone high school, and then I went back to college. So I've kind of been up and down a little bit with it all, but I really enjoyed the teaching aspect of the game level. Just teaching those players how to play. And then with girls especially, you just see their development every day. I think one of the coaches mentioned like being able to see the development, their growth in the game and in their lives too. It's fun to look back now and see some of where they've been and what they've done. So it was an interesting jump. But it was one that I'm glad that I did. But I'm glad I got to do the high school level for 5 years. That was a lot of fun and it taught me a lot too.
All right, so this is a question for anybody. Anybody can kind of answer this. How do you sell the NAIA level to kids who, think that the NCAA is it or JUCO is it?
Can I jump in first? Oh, go ahead,
Okay.
Coach. Go ahead, Coach Davis.
Oh, your youth before beauty. Go ahead.
Yeah. I like to say, first, I think that the stereotype of NAIA is that it's NCAA D1, D2, D3, then NAIA. And that really upsets me because I think that, in all honesty, I think that NAIA basketball is about mid-level D2. The bottom levels, D2, we beat them in all of our exhibitions. The top levels, the Drurys, SBUs, we lose to them, or UCMs. We lose to those. So we have a great brand of basketball here at this NAIA level that is often overlooked. Specifically in the American Midwest Conference, we had 2 Division I transfers, 4 D2 transfers. So I mean, this is a great brand of basketball that's often overlooked. And I think that once you get that stereotype of NAIA being the lesser of the others, I think that then it's able to sell the quote NAIA brand.
I'll go real quick too. Thanks, Coach. Me personally, I feel like the top teams in the NAIA are as good as the low level Division I teams. Just because, to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why we have to play Stanford, UCLA, Cal, UConn in our exhibitions, because when we would play some of the other ones, we'd beat them and they would never play us again. So we can't do that anymore. So when I recruit, I kind of tell them, hey, this is a level. We've been fortunate enough to be, like Coach said, Coach Wright, I mean, we've been fortunate enough to be, in the top 10, pretty close to top 10 for 20 straight years. So but I think that's because we try to go to get those players. But I really don't recruit a whole lot of players, to be honest with you. I'm fortunate to have, like, between my club team and my college team in high school, close to like almost 200 coaches of my former players are out there, and a lot of them are at all levels. So I have a lot of, it's like word of mouth, and so really lucky that way. But I know everybody's doesn't have that like I do, and I realize that. So but yeah, so I really believe that the top ones, and same thing with NCAA too, the top. Maybe I can do a Disney movie as many times as I've been Frozen. Maybe I can be in the next Frozen movie for Disney.
It's all good. Thank you, Coach.
I think, like, for us, and that's one of the biggest things we fight, because I always tell people, like, and I'm sure the 3 other coaches on here and all of you guys watching, you get so many emails from like, oh, that kid would be good at your level.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe, but like every time I read that, it just pisses me off. I'm like, well, what do you know about our level? And so like our thing with our staff and, like I don't want NAI players. I mean, NAI players to me are going to get your ass kicked and you're going to be 500 and it's not going to be very good. And so for us, we want division, like low major, like legitimate Division I players. And so for us, like we had 8 Division I transfers last year. And so, we went 24-8. And so that probably means I did a pretty poor job coaching them, with a loss per Division I transfer. But like, yeah, I mean, we want guys that are legitimate low major guys. I mean, when I was at Fresno Pacific, again, I worked for, Jim Saya, who had, been the top assistant at UCLA for 9 years or 8 years, and then was actually the interim head coach at USC. We went into USC and beat them when they were 9th in the country Division I, when they had, OJ Mayo and Taj Gibson, and, they paid us $10,000. And we said, thank you very much. Well, this will greatly help our program. But so like, yeah, I mean, that's a big stumbling block that I find. And I always tell guys like, hey, like, if we're going to be really good, we got to be able to beat 90% of the Division IIs out there. We probably got to be able to beat, at least, a third of the Division I's out there. I mean, if we're really going to have a chance to win at the level that we hope to win at.
I'm not sure what all has been said, but I'd like to add to that. What I tell them, number one, like, I think if you can make a relationship with whoever you're recruiting, I think that's important, to be able to make that relationship and establish that relationship. But I mean, basketball is basketball. We've played some Division IIs, we've played some Division I's, and we've played with those guys. And so, and I tell them that, I make sure and tell them that. So I think that's really important to let them know that no matter what level it is, you're still playing college basketball. And my scholarship money is just the same as their scholarship money. It all amounts to the same, and you still education at the end of the day, and you still we're part of that. What 3% they get to play college basketball? I try not to focus so much on the level and just make it about the game.
Yeah, and kind of adding on to that, maybe how do you handle recruits that don't quite understand what the NAIA is and kind of put it on the back burner while they're looking for other opportunities at the NCAA level?
Well, I know for us, I mean, obviously as a coach, it gets frustrating. Like, I think you really want people that want to be wherever you are, that can be really bought into that. But, like, so we had a kid for us, Morris Dunnigan, that was a JC All-American, went to the University of Houston. And man, like, he was the most miserable dude to deal with all summer. I mean, to be honest with you, like, I almost pulled, what little hair I have left out on dealing with him. And then he gets here and he was great. I mean, unbelievable to work with. And I mean, he was a first team All-American, averaged about 20 a game for us, shot good percentages, did anything we asked. And so I don't know, I guess for me, it's just understanding to get the level of players that we need to get, in order to compete for national titles. I'm going to have to be a little bit less stubborn, and it's not always going to be, I guess, as traditional as I would like. I say that my light hair is flickering on and off. I feel it's like my players, it doesn't really listen. But like, hey, I think, at our levels, you're going to get guys sometimes like that maybe have some warts or that have some things that are less than desirable. But at the end of the day, you want to make a difference in their life. You want to help make them better men. And, they're going to help elevate your program to where it needs to be.
Well, for me, I just kind of explain. I coach at a Christian school, so we have our where we're at. We try to implement our faith and along with character building. So in my program for the last 20 years, when we recruit people, I just tell them straight out, I'm that guy that tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I've always been that way. So we tell them, you come in here, we're putting God first, we're putting family second, we're putting academics third, we're putting character building and faith fourth, and then fifth is basketball. So that's before boyfriends or whatever and everything else. But that's what we do, and and then we stick to it. That's, we don't change it for whoever. And I said, I think it's back on that other one a little bit. I think it's important to get some Division I transfers if you want to compete for a national title. We've always had a couple of them, and I've been fortunate to have some really good ones. So we've had 6 national players a year, and 5 of them were Division I transfers. Okay, and only one of them came in as a freshman. So those are important aspects for you to have a lot of success at the NAIA level and to compete at the level where you can beat those teams. So it's really important to get them from good program winning.
And then I guess moving forward on that and combining a couple of questions that we have here. So when in the recruiting process do you decide to pull the trigger on the kid, and how do you talk numbers with them and the parents? If you have to meet a quota of 45 players, how are you open and transparent when you're recruiting them?
Yeah, well, it's fairly challenging. In all honesty, like Coach Wright said, we want Division I players, we want Division II players, but specifically at our level, or given my circumstances, it's tough for me to get players to sign early, because again, I'm not giving them 100% full ride, and everything's paid for, and I'm putting $6,000 worth of bail in their pocket, so it's like I gotta wait for them to trickle down a little bit. I gotta wait for the NAIA, the Division I's to pass them by, for the Division II's to pass them by, and then come as soon as their high school season ends, or their junior college season ends, now they're still looking. Then I know I really got a shot. And then that's where I get them full court press. Once we get them on campus, I feel like we have a very good shot at signing them. I think that our facilities are beautiful, and the surrounding area. And right here in St. Louis, Missouri, it is a heck of an area, so I think that once we get them here, we're able to will them in. It's just, again, often being overlooked, waiting on them to trickle down, and still selling the atmosphere, like Coach Davis said. My recruiting tactic is I'm gonna always be authentic. I'm gonna always keep it 100. I'm gonna be as authentic as I can be. And that's kind of my coaching in game as well. Some things that you ain't gonna want to hear. But I'm gonna keep it as real as I can be, and my thought process and what I see from you and how I see you can contribute to the program. And what I've learned over the years is that I recruit 200. I talk to 200 student athletes to maybe get 20 of them, and that's just kind of the circumstances that we're given, and I seen somebody had said the question, how do I recruit 45, and it's just being authentic, I'll tell them specifically. Now, this year moving forward is a lot different than what we had in the past. This year we're returning our top 6 scorers were all freshmen last year, so we're bringing our whole team back besides 2 seniors, so in the past it's been, I'm going to recruit 35 players and it's open game, I'm going to keep the top 15 and then the next 15 will be on the junior varsity team. But moving forward, I'm going to be as 100 as I can be. We got our team. I got 2 spots to fill with these newcomers coming in. And I'm not going to play any favoritism. May the best man win, but it's going to be a lot of competition. It's going to be open for grabs, those last 2 spots. But other than that, we're pretty much set, so it's to me, it's about being authentic. It's about being upfront. It's about being honest, and I think that builds my relationship with them. And I think that builds trust and accountability, throughout program wide, kind of builds our culture a bit.
Yeah, I can go on for that too. If you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of piggyback off of that, because I think with recruiting, I'm really aggressive with it, to be honest with you. If I like the girl, if I like her and I know I like her, I don't care what other offers she might have or or anything like that, I'm going to go and I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to do it fairly quickly. We don't have the luxury, like Coach Pearson is saying, to recruit a lot of 21s right now, because we have focus on the 20s that we have to get. I don't have to get 45, but it feels like 45 sometimes. Trying to get girls to come in here and play, for no money, little to no money. Sometimes it's really hard to do. So I do think you have to be real with them. I think you have to be authentic with them. You have to let them know up front, and especially let their parents know, because they're really the people. Hey, this is what I have. I hope you like that, because we really like you. So that's kind of how I am with it. I pull the trigger pretty quick though. During this time, since we've only really been recruiting, I have offered some 21s already, which is way ahead for me, because we don't usually do that July or August or maybe September when they can come on campus. But I try to be real, and I try to develop relationships, because I think if they like you and they want to come play for you and they respect you, they're going to. And I made some mistakes early when I first got here, and not being, hey, this is all I have, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I would always try to, like, well, if I can do more, I'll do more. You can't do that. You can't do that. You gotta let them know up front, this is what I have. And if you don't like it, then we'll find somebody that does. We'll go recruit somebody that does. So that may be, but I think that's how you have to be sometimes.
Me personally, I'm too old to try to recruit 45 players. So if they ask me that, I would be asking you guys if you had an assistant coaching job open. So it's hard enough for me to try to get 13 to 15. So lots of respect.
Great answers. The next question, Coach Yang asked, how do you recruit coaches to help you build your program, and what are you looking for in your coaching staff?
Nice.
I have a good connection right now, so let me go before it goes out. I usually try to have at least one of my former players on there. And then I always try to help somebody that's trying to get into coaching, and try to help them get on their way. We do have a full-time position now, so that's nice, but everything else we have is volunteer. So I've been known to have 2 or 3 or 4 assistants in there, and then help them get jobs after this, after they leave here. So, but the first thing is you want to get loyalty, and you want to bring in character, because our job is just not coaching. We're trying to get these people ready for the real life. So we need to teach life lessons too. And that's really important. So you got to get people in there that buy into what you're doing, what's important to you and your staff, and what's important to your program, and nowadays it's about relationships and building bonds and coaching women. I notice after 10 years, you better be a good listener. If you can't be a good listener, then you're not going to be a successful women's coach. I'm just telling you flat out. When I first started coaching women, I tried to talk to them before, and then that didn't work. So now I listen to them, and then when they're all done, I go, okay, how can I help you? Boy, I'm telling you, that's the smartest thing I ever did. So, so you got to get some people on your staff that understand, how to relate, and that are good with people, and that are going to represent you and your program. Because of my health. So, and I trusted them 100% when I was gone. So that was really critical for me.
Anybody else want to add on to that?
For me, so, I was fortunate to just get, a really good assistant in Coach Tim Ward here, Talladega. He's been great, just just from the fact, I mean, shoot, the dude's been here less than a week and helped sign us 2 really good players. So, man, I must have hit the lottery with that. But, no, like I think it is. Number one, it's just finding someone that's a good fit for you. Because, you know, at the end of the day, as you go through a season, you know, I mean, you're really with that person more than you are your family. I mean, they become a part of your family. And so, like, you know, I think for me, the number one characteristic, I want somebody that I want to hang out with every day, that I love being around. Again, as Coach Davis said, that you can trust, that's going to be loyal to you. You know, I know that I'm not the easiest guy to play for. And so, you know, I know behind the scenes, I need a guy that's going to have my back. Well, man, hey, coach is being hard on you because he cares about you. He wants to be, you know, see you successful after you leave here. That's kind of going to be telling them, you know, all of the right things. And so, man, I think if you don't have good assistant coaches or someone that's going to have your back, like, it's going to be really, really hard to be successful. And, you know, as good of a job for us as it is here at Talladega, like, our assistant pay is not very good. And so we got to get guys that, you know, that are going to be great assets to our program and help us win at a higher level. Number one, so I can keep my job here. You know, but also they're going to be great with our guys that just get it, you know, that are loyal, that understand what it takes to win the high level. And so, you know, I feel really blessed because, you know, I know for me this year, I have really good assistant coaches, and it's going to make my job a lot easier at the end of the day.
I think all of those things are really, I agree with all, definitely like the loyalty, the trust, having somebody back and somebody that you want to hang out with. I definitely agree with all of those things. And I also think it's really important just to make sure that they're going to be not a yes person. I need somebody that's going to bring ideas, you know, and not just be like, okay, coach, yeah, you're right. And I've had female, I've had male, I've had some yes people, and I've had some no people. And I like the people that are going to challenge me as a coach. I think that's really important, to be challenged as a coach. And I mean, yeah, besides that, loyalty is absolutely number one. And I think they have to be a relationship person too. As Coach Wright said, that you're going to be around a lot. You're with them all the time, recruiting in the car, you know, riding on bus rides home together, still talking about games. You know, it's somebody that you really got to enjoy being around, somebody that you like to be around. But I definitely think somebody that's going to, I don't know if that's the right call, but knows how to do it respectfully, obviously, and somebody that respects you in that aspect.
Great. So, coaches, can you touch on how you would turn a losing culture into a winning culture?
know, like, I guess for me, I feel really blessed. You know, I've been in a lot of different places, you know, and I have had a few jobs where they've never really won. You know, like, again, when I went to Fresno Pacific, I think they had 20-win seasons in the history of their school. And 6 out of the 8 years I was there, we were able to win 20 games, you know, whether it was an assistant or head coach. And I went to Graceland University, where they'd had 1 winning season in 20 years. And I don't know, again, to me, number one, it starts with players. You know, at the end of the day, you're never going to see a jockey carry a horse across the finish line, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are or how good of a coach you think you are. At the end of the day, it's about players. You know, I mean, if you are not good enough, like like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what you do as a coach. Like, you're never going to get where you want to get. So you have to recruit players that are, I don't know, I guess a little better than the level that you're at. You know, and number two, obviously, like, I think culture today it's a big buzzword, right? Like, every coach that's hired at any level talks about culture. And it's you know, I mean, it's very easy to talk about, but it's a lot more harder to really enforce and, you know, implement on a day-to-day basis. And so, like, I think wherever I've been, like, our guys have known, like, number one, I'm going to be honest. We're going to want you to be excellent, you know, whatever you do, whether it's on the floor, whether it's off the floor. You know, just still kind of Nick Saban's quote, you know, I really believe, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. You know, if you're not a very good student off the floor, like, man, it's gonna be really hard for us to count on us. You know, really relying on you when we got to go beat the best teams in our conference on the road. And so just, you know, I think having some consistency and having standards and being able to hold players accountable to that once you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I-
No doubt. No doubt. I'm gonna kind of go ahead, Coach Davis. I keep jumping in front of you, man. I'd like to hear what you got to say.
Well, that's because you're a lot quicker. That's because I can't guard you. You're a lot quicker than me. So when I got the job at Vanguard, they were yeah, it wasn't very good. So I think the best record they ever had was 10-20. So I was fortunate enough to be lucky to be winning. I didn't know what I was going to do. So what I noticed at that point when I first got the job, Fresno Pacific was winning the league. So I looked at their players and, you know, I looked to see how good their players were. And I said, I got to get better than them. And I actually had, when I inherited a team, because the girl kept coming late and she knew she was our only point guard. And I finally said, no, it's not going to work. So I had to build that culture. And then I think we had one of our worst records there. I think we went 18-11 that year. And then after that, we kind of got it rolling. But the smartest thing I ever did was take a job at a local high school, and they didn't have anything. So I had to go out and watch PE classes and grab girls out of PE classes that I thought were athletic for tryout, and then had to teach them from the ground up how to play. It was a good high school program, so they were already decent. So I never really been challenged. So that forced me to get back to the fundamentals and teach people from ground level all the way up. So I think that really helped me become a better coach. You know, I don't know if that answers the question, because I go around and around sometimes, like my age kicks in. But I think, yeah. So I've done that twice, and I know it sounds weird, but I think it's harder to stay on top than it is to get it going, especially when you're so bad. You know, you can figure out ways to get in ball games. I mean, it was ugly basketball. I wouldn't even I'll never play that way again, but we had to do that to win. Walk the ball up court and jump in and press and play. I never played zone in my life until I coached in college, because I thought only lazy people played zone. And now everybody thinks that I'm Mr. Zone guy, because I lost a couple of times. So I started putting in zones, but I thought man-to-man was for people who are too lazy to teach people how to play man-to-man. That tells you I'm old school. So, but that's kind of how we got going. We needed to buy in, and to this day, most of those people on my first team, they come back. They have kids. They come back and watch the games, and I always tell people that's the cement. Building a foundation, and they got to believe in it. And then if they're not in, as Bruce Brown, you guys know Bruce Brown. If you can't train them, you got to trade them. You know, and you know, and you want to love on them, but if they're not buying in, they're not buying in. So you got to get people that buy in, because they're supposed to be different, noticeable, and appealing, right? So that's got to be in their DNA. Hope that answered that. Probably not, but.
Great answer. All right. This last question we have is for all four of you. Just kind of during this quarantine, what are some advice that you would give to those coaches that are trying to pursue a coaching job? Like what should we do during this quarantine to get better?
Send them a hand in a box.
Fake news, Coach. Fake news.
That worked for Coach Wright. I love that one. That's great.
That was good.
No,
I think it's persistence. You know, you got to be persistent. You got to be consistent in your communication, consistent in your pursuit of building your network. You know, I think that, you know, what you got to understand is that everyone in the country Everyone, in the world is going through the exact same thing right now, so there's not many coaches that are making hires. There's not many recruits that are signing, so you have to, as a young aspiring coach, understand, stay true to your principles, but do not get discouraged. It's about persistence, and the more you build your network, the more you join these clinics and these virtual tours and et cetera, I think that it builds your network. It builds and expands your horizons, and it's just not to get discouraged. It will not happen overnight, but stay true to who you are. You got to stay true to the individual you are, the beliefs that you have. I'm a true follower in Christ, so I always keep them first. I pray on many things overnight, and to know that there's a higher power that's going to bless you one day, it is humbling.
I think that's really good, Coach. I also think being visible is really important. Not invisible, to be visible. Like on Twitter, I see a lot of you young ladies and young men active on Twitter a lot. Maybe names I've never seen before come across my feed, or you follow me, or you follow somebody that follows me, and I see your name, and so then I check you out. And so I think it's really important to be visible. And just make sure that we know you're there, or whoever it is, you want to know you're there, that they know you're there. And also, like, be consistent. Don't just disappear. It's hard. It would be really, really easy right now to get discouraged, to disappear. But build your relationships. Right now, that's all we have are these relationships that we're building. And if you continue to build those, somebody's going to take notice. And I'm also a big believer that you'll end up where you're supposed to be. God will take care of you, and he'll provide.
Before Coach Wright gets on, I would say that my experience tells me that you want to be persistent, but you don't want to be overbearing where you're wearing them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in the old days, yeah, but not as much now. And I think hang in there, because I think a lot of these schools are on hiring freezes right now, so they're going to hire late. And then make sure you have the right people calling for you, that are trustworthy, that have a good reputation, that, but don't have a bunch of them. Just have a couple and make it direct, and then ask them those questions. I think it's her name's Jasmine. I think I saw her ask a question like, what are 5 good questions to ask? I think that popped up. Well, I think it was Jasmine, I'm not sure, but tell them your strengths, tell them what you bring to the table. Okay. And be honest with them. If you don't, you're not just doing it. I think a lot of people want to do it because they want a job. Yeah, you want a job, but if you're really in coaching, explain to who's ever doing the hiring why you want to be in the coaching. Let them know why you're choosing coaching, not just because you played and you're like, I want to stay in basketball because I grew up in basketball. Well, everybody does that. Everybody wants to do that. Why are you different? You've got to be different than the other. You got to be noticeable. You got to do something that's going to be like, hey, you know what? I really like what that person have to say. Go to as many coaches clinics as you can. Do it, get your name out there. Next time there's a Final Four, go out there and introduce yourself to people. The people that are going to spend the time to actually help you and give you good advice, that are going to be there for you. There's a lot of people out there that want to help. So just make sure you're asking the right questions to the right people, and you have the right people calling for you. But show your heart, show your passion. I think those are the biggest things. And then let them know your strengths, but also let them know your weaknesses. Okay, don't hide them. Say, you know what, I'm not really good at this. And a lot of people are going to appreciate that honesty, because if you tell them that, then they're like, I can trust this person, because why would they tell me what I'm not good at? Okay, it's kind of reverse psychology. Everybody. I hope that helps. long-winded.
Coach, man, I think that's awesome. I mean, obviously you've won a lot more games than me. And, a lot of coaches ever get the chance to win. You won a national title, which I always tell people, man, if I could just win one, man, I might quit coaching. I don't know, but at least temporarily. Right.
Yeah.
But I think, man, like to me, so much of it's just about being genuine and authentic. I mean, all of you guys that are out here, watching this right now, you understand how it is when your phone rings and, there's those few people you're like, geez, what he or she want? And so I think in the hiring process, man, if you can just, really be genuine, and it's a lot easier, I think, Coach, as you said, man, than to talk than it is to listen. And so, I know for me, I've been really fortunate to hire great assistants. And, a lot of the people that I've either worked for or worked under now are my best friends. I mean, it's crazy how that is. I mean, I'd probably say that's true for 9 out of the 10 best friends that I have. Either they worked with me as an assistant or I worked for them when I was an assistant. And so just, to me, just being able to be genuine and connect with them, it goes so far. And so, and I know it's a hard time right now. I mean, for all professions, but especially for coaches, because there are so many hiring freezes. There's not a lot of jobs out there as there typically would be. And so just being able to show that, that you have a genuine care for people and that you're reliable and that you kind of buy into whatever that coach's vision is for their program.
Those are all
Agreed.
fantastic responses. Thank you. Thank you. Just want to re-extend the thank you to all 4 of you guys for taking time out of your day to kind of talk to us. We're trying to get better, and you guys are great people to look up to. So just want to plug in also Rising Coaches, who's sponsoring this. That's a great asset for young coaches to have, current coaches to have. They do a great job of networking and connecting people together. But thank you, Coach Pearson, Coach Wright, Coach Phillips, and Coach Davis for taking time to be with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, Ashton, if
Yeah.
anybody, if anybody has any, I'm sure the other coach the same way. If you have, you can go ahead and email us if we can
Yeah,
help in any
absolutely.
way. Reach out to us and we'll try to help any way we can. I'm doing a coaching clinic coming up. I'll put it on my Twitter. And so you're more than welcome to go. It's kind of invite only, but if you say you're on this call, we'll let you in.
Yes, that would be
and
great.
It's pretty good. I'm not saying it because it's mine, but it's been pretty successful. So that's in a couple of weeks. So yeah, you say tell me it's good. So